are, crossing the desert in the middle of the night. There's absolutely nothing around. It's pitch black. We can see nothing but the road ahead of us. That's got to be metaphorical for something, don't you think? What do you think the road ahead of us is?
The road ahead of us is yet to be discovered.
Ah. Well, let me see if I can be more specific. What about the road for humanity? Do you think we can... What road do you think we're going to take?
Well, there's a few choices right now as far as the direction that humanity seems to be going. There's several schools of thought. One might be that humanity is repeating past behaviors, allowing their selfishness to get in the way of creating a global community that has the ability to take care of every person on the planet. There's another school of thought that is pretty much humans are a bunch of lazy, no good for nothing, prejudiced bigots that are never going to get along and always fight when change is facing them. And there's another school of thought that is more of the intelligent and aware version, which is that, you know, if we shift our perspective from the selfish to the selfless, and we begin to ask the questions of how to get along, that the capacity for us to get along grows. That doesn't mean that we will, but it sure allows the space for people to begin to work things out, or to find those things that are common needs amongst humans, so that we can begin to cover them. And
I have a question. I have another question for you then.
Okay.
What are your thoughts about humanity?
They can be pretty scary sometimes.
So let me bring this back around, because you had mentioned that you're interested in creating harmony amongst people on the planet. What does that mean?
Yes, I am.
Well, what does that mean, and how do we go about doing that?
Well, that kind of falls into the third category that I mentioned earlier. Those that are a little more intelligent and aware of how interconnected thoughts, feelings, events, people, places, and things actually are. Now, my thoughts about humans and how they can respond are rather mixed. You know, I hold a high faith in humanity, that we're capable of being friendly towards one another, and yet there's still a large faction that are fear-based,
well, let me interject here
okay.
for a moment, because to clarify something, you said that there are intelligent people on the planet who believe that we can get along, and so on and so forth. Does this mean that only the intelligent ones are going to be able to accomplish this? Because what about the others?
Well, no, it doesn't mean that the intelligent ones are the only ones that are going to be able to accomplish this. they're the ones that are going to be able to draw attention to our capacity as a whole for doing so, and to create the avenues, be it business, the economy, community, technology, all of those things that affect the change, because it starts with a change of consciousness. And in order to change that consciousness, there's a lot of education, there's a lot of demonstration that needs to take place, modeling, statistics, data that can then be shared, that is not necessarily unquestionable, but that shows the work has been done to the point where it's not just a pie-in-the-sky idea,
Okay.
or an idealistic conjecture.
Well, okay. Let's bring it down to some pragmatic levels here. First, we have to actually have a picture of what that means. Harmony amongst planet people. What does that mean? Let me see if I can reiterate what you've said in another way. So, well, actually, you never said.
I hadn't given a succinct view of what harmony among people planet means.
No, you haven't actually.
On the very simplest level, it means that there is no strife for food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and education.
So in other words, basic needs are covered for everyone on the planet.
Correct.
Okay. So, and there's no war. Can we also say that?
That's generally the reason for war, is that people feel like they can't or do not have the ways and means to supply needs for a specific population.
Well, okay, now that's a whole nother. First of all, I didn't actually ask you about the reasons for war, and that's an entirely other conversation, because
That's true.
I could say that, for one, most wars are created by not the people, by authority figures, and for those wars that are created by citizens themselves, oftentimes it has nothing to do with needing the basic needs. It has to do with, if you look at places in Africa, many places in Africa, it has to do with, we don't like who you are, and so therefore we're going to oust you and create a million refugees of your people. It has nothing to do with their basic needs. So that's a whole other conversation. So let's just bring it down to what is harmony amongst planet people. Could we say, if we had to bullet point it, could we say no war? Would that be one of them?
Yep.
Okay. And then we could say then that all basic needs are met. Yes? Okay.
Yep.
For all people, we have to include that.
Yep.
Is there anything else that we can that we can concisely break it down to?
Developing technology is environmentally friendly.
Okay. So, well, does that really have to do with how does that have to do with harmony amongst planet?
Because you're acting in,
Slow down, it says.
whether it's symbiosis or you're acting with the consciousness that you are looking towards how to integrate, how to support the natural cycles and functions of the environment, of the planet, that you're not adding to, let's put it this way, that you're creating things that are in support of a cleaner environment, and that means air, land, water, ocean,
So, okay, so, like, if I can jump in here for a moment.
Another bullet point is
Well, you're saying harmony amongst planet and people.
people and planet.
Well,
Yeah.
people and planet. So, because I could separate the two of them, if I wanted to.
However, the statement of harmony among people and planet is specific because it is a symbiosis between the two.
Because, so what you're saying is then, perhaps, that if we don't learn how to navigate the planet or be stewards of the planet from the standpoint of saving humanity, we won't be able to, because it won't work for us anymore.
Right.
We won't be able to utilize what's on it because we'll be destroying it for our own purposes.
We already are. It's not that we're looking at saving humanity. I think that's a misnomer. I think it's empowering humanity. There's been decades of non-disclosure of technology, of ways of thinking even, that greatly alter the focus and resulting attention on the types of things that can make a difference.
Well, okay, wait a minute. We need to zero in here, okay? Because we're losing the point. In my opinion, we're losing the focus here. I'm going to bring up an argument that might be able to, I don't know, zero you in on your own. There are some people who say, the people who are, say, not environmentalists, they will often say to you, somehow we've managed to, I think it's exponentiate, or at least have a geometric progression of humans on the planet. We have 7 billion people on the planet, and it doesn't seem to be like we're getting any less people. And all you environmentalists who are crying that, we're destroying the planet, this and that, they would say, we're just doing fine. We have more people than ever, and we're continuing to have more people, and quite frankly, they're living longer and longer and longer lives because of all the things we're doing.
No, that's not true, though. They're living longer for those people who have. There are shorter lives. How many millions of children starve on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
They've always starved on those monthly, weekly basis.
Right. Then we can't say that we're ahead of the game. As long as there are any starving, then we really aren't that progressed. We're not doing that well. For each person to have their own life be as important as the next. What we've had are people that decide who's worth saving and who's not.
Well, I don't know if it's the responsibility of everybody to save everybody. Why do we? If they're going to make that many, okay, hold on a second. If they're going to make so many babies, and they can't support them, and they can't feed them, then why are they making them? That's the argument.
That's a good question. And that change has to happen through many of those people have belief systems that get in the way. And because many of our population still lives in a very belief system oriented and belief systems are just that. They're the belief systems. They are not necessarily true and congruent with science, logic, and just simply what is happening in front of them. The reality is that many of these folks are still under the influence of their drug of choice, which happens to be their religion.
Okay, wait a minute now. Are you saying that all people in Africa who have all these babies that are dying, what are you going to do? To change their belief system, or tell them their belief system is just superstition? I don't understand.
No, because you can't confront people like that. You have to build their capacity to think.
Really? Because there's a lot of people in America and in developed countries that have belief systems where they believe that they should have as many children as possible. And yet they're able to, but they, and on the upside, they're able to support them and feed them. So how do you change people's belief systems? I mean, now you're saying, well, people have belief systems, false belief systems. I mean, you're asking people to change their belief systems. Is that what you're saying? Is that the only way that we can have harmony amongst planet and people, is to have everyone believe the same thing?
No, it's not the only way. So
what is
there are many ways that it can be approached.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the ways, and that in the evolution of a species, being human beings, then at some point we advance from superstition and are able to tell more and live more in an expanded understanding of reality. And this takes in a lot of the things that are challenges to these belief systems. And many of them say or profess that they believe in certain things, and then when people show up that are capable or fulfill what those belief systems dictate are possible, they're not accepted. So there's this disconnect, there's this incongruent mindset within these things, just as there are, how do you show that, or how how do you show people that killing people is wrong by killing them?
Yep.
That just doesn't sound too smart.
No. But I'm getting this sense, as we speak, that changing people's belief systems to yet another one, which is that we all have to have harmony, or whatever, that's just another belief system.
No, that's not that we all have to have harmony. It's not a belief system. It's an experience and action-based system. What do you do? How do you demonstrate that you care about how you treat yourself, the people around you, and the environment?
Well, I don't know, because it's so complex. There's so many different people that have different ideas about the world. So
right, and until those are at least discussed and shared and compared and communicated and in a way such that there's open discussion.
I believe that there is open discussion, and there has been open discussion, and sometimes there's success with it and sometimes there's not. I think, and I don't know what the answer is yet, but I think that if you're going to come up with a strategy or let's call it a strategy, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to come up with a strategy to create harmony amongst people and planet, you're going to need to have some kind of overall action plan that's not going to offend everyone's belief systems, and it's not going to dismantle them or wait for them to be dismantled or whatever.
Right.
I mean...
Well, that's where, for instance, the business plan that I wrote for Be the Dream, by showcasing the people, places, and things that are in process of this, the projects, those that are coming up with ideas and that are demonstrating what can work better or what may appear to work better. All of these kinds of things you present so that they can be observed. It's a non-threatening approach to initiating change.
Are you going to present them to the Arabs and the Africans and the Mormons and the atheists and the born-again Christians and the neo-Nazis?
Simply
and
by
so on and so forth.
Some of each of those may outgrow, maybe recognize that where they're at isn't really where they want to be, and they're looking for a change. They're looking for others who are looking for a change. They're looking for ways to change. They're looking for products, services.
Okay, let's pretend for a moment that you have all these people in the same room. All the people I mentioned and then some, right? All these different belief systems and cultural views and views of the world, etc.
You have them in the same room on the internet.
Great. Okay, great. So, good. We have a space. So they're all on the internet. And first of all, who are they? Are they people that matter? Are they people that make change? Are they just your average Joe? Or who are they? And what are you going to tell them? How are we all going to get together as one people and planet and have our basic needs met and have no war? What are you going to tell them all?
Again, you start by showing who is demonstrating that by working together, great change can happen and it can benefit a growing number of people. For instance, a group of people that decide that they're going to provide a village that has yet that has no water system or educational system, and I'm not saying that you're putting a system in there to induct them into something else. You're actually going in and looking at, okay, how does this community need to grow in order to be able to take care of itself?
We've already got the Peace Corps and other organizations like that. How is this different?
It's not. That's what I'm saying. You're showcasing these people on a broader range of topics to show that each has its own place, for lack of a better, or each has its own ability to affect a part of a population. This is not something that you can wave a magic wand and have a sweeping motion in any one thing and have it be effective. This is the interconnectedness that we have with each other.
Okay, and that sounds very nice, and those are nice words. But what's the plan, Stan? Let me give you some scenarios, and then you can tell me how this works. So, let's give a few for instances. In the United States, for instance, we have something called welfare. So, in other words, if you don't have a job, or you don't have a means of support, or whatever, you apply for welfare. Well, welfare then takes care of you. Many other countries have this same system. Nobody goes hungry in this country unless they want to. And if they tell you that they do go hungry, that's a load of horse shit, because there's food banks everywhere. There's no way in this country that if you really are hungry and need a place to stay, that you can't find one. And there's many countries where that's the case as well. So, we've got the basic needs met. Unfortunately, people want more than that. They want their drugs, or whatever else that it is that they want. And when their basic needs are met, I'm going to put this out there, and this is just an observation, I could be wrong on this, but oftentimes when just the basic needs are met, people lack motivation to do anything else, which maybe that's okay. So is that all we want? Is that what we just want, a baseline society?
We're talking about, no, I think you're talking about apples and oranges. So in the getting basic needs met, I mean these countries where they're war torn, where they're where there's near genocide, where there's there's nothing for them. There's no, even with motivation, their ability or the capacity for them to change their lives drastically is pretty nil, because there's no infrastructure there for them to do it or to access.
Well, then let me.
And yeah, we are very much in the United States and some first world countries able to take care of our people. Not that we do the greatest job at it, but at least it's possible.
Well,
in these other countries where we've chosen to stay out of them because there have been no economic and or resource benefits from our involvement, that's as the U.S. or even UN, I don't know.
Okay, this is the end. Oh, we go to the right. Okay, not Snowflake. Well, don't we already have organizations that are working on that, like One and all these other organizations? Aren't there many organizations? I mean, I'm not saying there can't be more, sure, but aren't we already working in that direction to assist other countries to be able to?
We are in some sense, but like One, okay, it's just dealing with poverty. Okay, that poverty is still going to exist until you get the causes of the poverty addressed and out of the way. And a lot of that is coming from these paramilitary groups that are in control.
What I don't understand then is, if your goal is to have harmony amongst people on the planet, which, by the way, is an insanely huge goal.
Yeah.
It's something that people have been working on forever, and yet you say that you're going to be able to
I think to
educate
say that they've
people?
been working on it forever is a misstatement.
Okay. Well, all right.
They haven't been working on it forever. They've been developing their own mechanisms of trade and survival and ability to promote from within the various, whether it's bloodlines or tribes or nationalities or whatever, that even in the UN, that not every country is a member of the UN.
Okay, well, coming back to, for a moment, to your goal, which is harmony amongst people on the planet, and which is, again, quite a lofty goal. Do you mean to say that you're going to take these models of how to work together through education and the workplace and
Community commerce, or community education and commerce.
And you're going to go, and so you're going to be like an angel group. You're going to be like another Peace Corps, only on a larger scale, and go into all these countries where they don't seem to be able to get their act together, and they seem to be, beating the crap out of each other.
Well,
are you going to go there? Are you going to go to all these places and say, hey, we've got a model here we'd like to show you, and this is how you can live it harmoniously? Are you going to jump around the world doing that and hoping that it spreads like wildfire, and then eventually the whole planet will jump on board? I mean, how does this work?
You said a lot there. You jumped around
A lot. This is a lofty goal. I think
it is, but you also made some assumptions and assertions that we were going to take a model around and show how it works. That I did not say anything like that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to pinpoint you on. What is it you're going to do? How are you going to accomplish this incredibly lofty goal? That's what I'd like to know. How's it work?
That's a great question.
I think it's one that anyone would ask.
True. The Be the Dream model that I began to speak about earlier, that uses the showcase of the people that are the showcasing of people that are being successful across a wide variety of industries, to show how things can work better and be more congruent with the value add of treating the planet and people better in the process. There's still economic models, and it's pretty unlikely that economic models are going to go away. So what we are doing with the actions of Be the Dream through the websites, we're developing the ability to build schools that not only educate but nurture the students to be able to develop their cognitive abilities and ignite their curiosity for life and how to be more part of it.